Namaste and welcome to our parent webinar on empowering children to protect themselves. But before we launch into it, I would first like to take this opportunity to wish our headmistress a very happy birthday. Miss Rumchumi Biswas, we pray to God that He blesses you with health and happiness so that you may continue to do the good work that you are doing, making a difference in the life of our children. Our guest today is Miss Saba Islam. She is the Kolkata head for Parvarish, which is nurturing no limit children. She's the Kolkata head for Unimo, which is Universe of Moms. And she's the founder of the Happy Mommy Place, a mother's resource center. We're going to ask her to tell us what is Happy Mommy Place because it sounds so interesting. She is a member and multiple district representative of the Lions Club International, New Voices. She's a mentor for Pop-Up Festival on Emotional Intelligence by UNICEF and 6 Seconds. And she's a certified emotional intelligence facilitator. She's been conducting sessions across India in schools and play schools, in hospitals and many NGOs. And within the span of 5 years, has touched more than 10,000 lives, along with personal counseling of parents and children too. Working with children makes me take up new challenges, striving hard to let the children be away from the maddening crowd to create a world where children are welcome and nurtured in the womb, in the family, in the community, and beyond. These are her words and such beautiful words. So with that, we'd like to welcome you, Miss Islam.
Thank you so much.
Today we're going to talk about something which is a little sensitive. Are our children safe? Predators are people who are generally known to us, and we sometimes are in denial about something like that, or we may just be absolutely ignorant. But who is the victim? The child, of course. So it's very important that हम आओ बात करें इसके बारे में. We've had POXO with the young Indians earlier in school. A lot of our parents have attended it. We did it for mothers separately and for fathers. Today we are doing it, and we hope that parents then get an opportunity to sit down and discuss this amongst themselves and with their children, and see that our children have to be safe at all times and in all ways. So with that, I hand it to you, Miss Islam. Please आइए बात करें.
Thank you so much. I love the opportunity of connecting with Swarnim International because it's been a nice journey of knowing you, ma'am, as in Rumjumi ma'am. So it's nice to be here. Thank you so much. So do you want me to really talk about the Happy Mommy place? So what is it like?
Happy Mommy sounds very interesting.
So I'll tell you what, I said I've been into the field of education for past like more than 17 years now, started working at different places, and I had my own play school, a Montessori school. But after my second one was born, I realized that, even the most caring families miss out onto the nitty-gritties of life. As in, a mother is only understood by another mother. So I wanted to create that space, a physical space where we could just come together, sit, do nothing for a change, like, talk about something or sit and watch movies like Bad Moms together and get inspired. And so just being there, having fun, and, even taking care of certain needs, be it cooking, be it parenting needs. And that's how I got across the Kolmo community and the Unimo community. So it's been a beautiful journey, and it's like, more of my own self desire to get what I want was something which kept me going. So that's what the Happy Mommy place is now all about. So we have like one floor where the mothers are working or sitting, and we have one floor where the children are working. So that's the way we try to do this. And as for the session why we are here, Aao Baat Kare now has become like a pet session to me. So I remember the time when, if like 6 years down the line, if somebody would have told me that I need to talk to my children about something like this and speak to them and get into conversation, I would be like, no ways, you are kidding me. It's impossible. But yet again, now after taking these umpteen number of sessions, talking to parents and talking to children specifically, I personally feel that each and every one of us, each and every adult in this society needs to equip themselves with the necessary skills to prevent child sexual abuse. Now, why do I say that? The magnitude of the problem is still unknown. The reason being underreporting, under identification. We still don't know what the whole magnitude is like. Now, just to give you a little stats here, one in every two child in India is supposedly sexually abused. And with children, I mean anyone less than 18 years of age. And this is reported data. So घर में अगर दो बच्चे हैं ना तो एक के साथ होता है ये डेटा कहता है. And think about the umpteen number of unreported data which we have. Who goes and talks about it? And if you look at our lives, our generation, अगर किसी के साथ ऐसा कुछ हुआ or something happened, it is such a hushed down topic. You know, this Friday itself, I was taking a session with these young girls of like, teenagers, 15 years and above. So we were just talking about this thing, and we were talking about cyber safety also, and we were talking about sexual abuse and children and girls and boys thinking that we are at home and nobody is gonna be like doing anything to us. But there's a lot of talk about cyber safety. In that itself, a child was sharing कि मैम लेकिन हम अगर parents को जाके बोलते हैं तो they just deny it, they don't respond to it. So I do not say that parents are at a fault over here because that's the way it's been happening for generations. उनको भी पता नहीं है कि करना क्या है. उनको भी पता नहीं है कि how do I respond? How do I deal with it? So even they need a little hand holding and they need a little empowering. कि like, it's not always that you need to make a big issue out of it to start fighting. Sometimes even just letting the predator know that you know about it puts an end to the story and builds that trust with your child. So these are little things which I now like to talk about, now like to get into conversation with parents. And yes, I have grown like, leaps and bounds through this session. So it's like, there was a time when I remember when I was training for this in our Delhi office, and I prepared the whole night. The whole night I was preparing. But even in the morning, I was like, Kuch ho jaye, I don't have to go to the training room. I don't want to speak about it. But today it's like, नींद में भी उठाकर बोलोगे, it's like, Sabha, you need to talk about this. And I'm like, yeah, all there. Let's do it. So it's that beautiful a journey. And I really want, like, the statistics scare us, as in really scare us. But the best part is we have the power to write a new story. What if the children had just one adult in their life who knew the facts? That adult could actually reduce the risk by 90%. What if the children had adults in their lives who knew how to talk about body safety, how to talk about boundaries, and what to do when they felt unsafe? And what if we had adults in their life who knew how to report or how to intervene? Sometimes this is a very big issue. The society is the way it is because we prefer to look the other way around. So that is the reason why we are where we are. Now, as parents or as teachers, we do not receive any kind of formal training in dealing with this. So parents or like mothers, I always say the reason for Happy Mommy Place was that the most important job in this world, and there's no training for that. You are just deemed to be a good mother. Do whatever you want to. So it's like there. So I think it's such a beautiful thing if we all, and I am just really hooked onto this sentence these days in this pandemic. It takes a village to raise a child. We've always heard that. So why are we as parents determined to do it our way and determined to do it alone? Let's do it together. Let's build it together, and let's get together. So these are my little thoughts on this.
And beautiful thoughts, absolutely. And like you said, being a mother, being a parent is the biggest responsibility. And there's absolutely zero training. It's supposed to something that is supposed to come instinctively. It does, but of course, we make a lot of mistakes on the way. So a webinar like this will definitely help, and I'm sure the Happy Mommy Place also does, in resolving some things, because we get advice also from many different quarters and they're all differing advice. So sometimes it's very confusing on what to believe. So yes, please tell us more.
So you know what? If just to pitch in over here before I get into the main topic is, like, we do a lot of experience-based parenting. What
Mm.
happens that हमारे साथ जो हुआ as a child, we make it a point that I will make sure I will not do this with my children, or I will make sure I will do this with my children. And this was one sentence I keep repeating quite often in my webinars. And this, you will not believe, came in as a big surprise when my 7-year-old tells me the same sentence 2 days back. We were sitting and working together, and I supposedly said something, a sentence, and then she tells me, you know what? I'm never going to tell my daughter not to do this, or something said. They're showing me the mirror all the time. I can't escape it. Matlab, it's just so impossible. They're just showing you the true mirror. Hello, this is what you are. So that's beautiful. The children, my children, just make sure that I practice what I preach. So I love this. So let me get to you with the topic of Aao Baat Kare. And now this silent epidemic affects us all. Like once the coronavirus set in, I found this so this thing here. We were scared of an invisible virus. Matlab, we can't see it literally. And this was something which was also invisible, the online trafficking and the child sexual abuse and everything. And what did we do to protect our children from that? मतलब विंटर्स आते हैं हम उन्हें विंटर क्लोथ्स के लिए रिमाइंडर्स देते हैं, we give them vaccinations, we get them stuff, we try to protect them physically in all aspects. But this little thing which stays with the adult for the rest of their life, it never goes away. You shape your personality in that manner. And ask any adult survivors, मतलब अगर majorly कुछ हुआ है, it's like it needs just one trigger and it gets back to them. And for all of us have gone through at some level or the other, we've gone through something like this, be it public transports, be it anywhere. We've all gone through something like this in our lives. So you can very well imagine how fresh it is in our minds that it just comes back, even when we keep pushing it away, So this is why, I really want people to be talking about it, parents, teachers, because what happens when you raise the consciousness of the society? Involuntarily, you start offering help to people who might just be in that situation and don't know what to do. And then ultimately, what happens? It's like, the whole community starts taking a collective decision regarding child safety, and the whole consciousness of the society increases. So that's the only reason why we feel that, we really need to get talking about it. So a few little tips which I would like to talk about and leave it behind as a thought to you would be, first and foremost, as parents, today if I really talk to you as parents, let's look at first point would be minimizing the opportunity. Now, what do I mean by saying that? I don't mean that putting restrictions to your child, telling your girls not to wear this and telling your boys not to do this and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. There's a very thin line of difference between minimizing opportunity. At one point of time, children will become responsible for their own lives. We don't have to worry about that. But currently, we just need to keep our eyes, ears open. Because what happens, I've been to these amazing schools also in Kolkata, matlab the so-called known schools in Kolkata. So wahan par bhi I have seen that the principals or the teachers have shared this concern, that how come the parents didn't come to know about it. So I vouch as a parent that probably I did not come to know about it. I did not realize it. So that's the consciousness which, or the little awareness which I want to build in. कि कुछ छोटे छोटे steps है ना, which you can really take into consideration. That let's be aware of that. So I'll give you some of my examples so that you can think of your situation and think of your setup and probably start thinking more. And you'll have your own examples after that. For example, if my girls tell me that they want to go down, I stay in a complex, so they want to go down and play in a hot summer afternoon. So then I tell them, I said, ऐसा नहीं है कि evening में ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो सकता, but what happens in the afternoon, usually the complex is a little quiet. People are in their houses. So, you're inviting trouble for yourself if you do that. Then talking to children about using the fire escape exit instead of the normal exit. When they're playing, especially you hide and seek and stuff like that. So telling them all the time. I said, even if you're playing hide and seek, you can be two together or be some in a position which is visible. So these little talks, when children specifically as parents, we need to understand co-sleeping is one of the major things which you really need to take care of. So be it any cousins, adults, anybody in the family, as a matter of fact, I would say that even if they're sleeping on the same bed, they can have separate bedrolls for themselves. So this is not just being paranoid, because I take care when I talk to children that I do not want to come across as the whole world comprises of the big bad wolf. No, it does not. We have some amazing people around us. We have people who care. But yes, there are little conscious steps, little thoughts which just needs to build it. So that's what my take is on minimizing opportunity. And to move on, the second would be my favorite topic, that is demystify the subject and bring in matter of factness. So that's a big deal. Jaise he, my child asks me, Mama, where does baby comes from? And we're like, ting, you don't know what to say. And I love to ask this to mothers, and we get these amazing answers from mothers. And they will be like, ऊपर वाले ने दिया है, दरवाजे के बाहर कोई छोड़ गया, I got you from the hospital or something like that. And I had this amazing incident with this mother. So what she was sharing, she said, I told my daughter that I got this from the hospital. I got the baby from the hospital. Her daughter was so angry with her. Why? She said she wanted a baby sister, and coincidentally she had a son as a baby brother. So she said, यार जब खरीदने ही जा रहे थे तो सही सामान खरीदना था ना, why did you buy the wrong stuff? I said, so intelligent and so creative. So यहाँ पे ना the thought is कि in our society we've been groomed like this. Or if you remember your instances also, if you managed to somehow ask your parent a question and थप्पड़ नहीं पड़ी, बस उतना ही बच गए, that was it. So never, nobody speaks about it. Anything to do with sex and sex related issue is a big thing. And believe me, in India, we feel like, if we don't talk about it in India, and if we try talking about all these things, we are aping the West. But let me tell you, I am talking about responsible conversation. I am not talking about exposure. So be it anywhere in the country, we have people from our team who've spoken to people from America, to Chinese parents, to Japanese parents. We all sailing in the same boat. We are talking about responsible conversation with children. How can we do that? And it's a beautiful step. Think about it. All we want is a connection with our children. अगर इस टॉपिक पे बात कर ली हमने बच्चों से, so और क्या बचा है? So can you imagine the connection which is going to happen? And if I genuinely have a problem, a medical problem, or if I've genuinely landed myself in trouble because of something, because of a mistake, or because of anything, whom do I go to? My friends will probably be at the same age as I am. So why is this such a big issue? What are we talking about? Isn't it just about my body science? It isn't just about, there was a very classic example that the way we are taught reproductive systems in our schools, if we were taught numbers that ways, if children would learn counting from 1 to 10, we would consider them geniuses. So it's like that. सारे systems पढ़ा सकते हैं body के, but we do not want to get into the reproductive system. But hello, isn't that supposed to be a part of your body? So, Swatima, just one little thing. So, if you have any questions or if you see anything or if you want to just say something, please go ahead, because then I'll feel like, I'm just going on and on and on.
So one thing, two things that came across when we're talking about this, it's not restricted to girls, right? There are boys are also victims of this.
Yeah, so I was just getting to it that there are a lot of myths and facts which we talk about. So first and foremost, which I just got you into realization that sometimes what we feel when we read the papers, we feel na ye kisi aur ke saath ho raha hai. Matlab, it doesn't happen here, or we get into the social economic stratas. So let me tell everybody that it is happening in your and my family. It's not happening to somebody on the other planet. It's there within our families. And most importantly, where we feel now that only girls are affected, even boys are equally affected. And the worst part is कि boys पे हमने इतने labels लगा के रखे हैं ना, मर्द बन, be a man, लड़के रोते नहीं हैं. All these things affects them double. And there are very many chances where now we are grooming children, or the society has groomed them to use this as the way to show power. Or use this as a way of authority, which is a very wrong nation which has developed in the society. And few other things to be really thinking about is that who are these people who do this to children? So what we read in the papers about strangers and neighbors and stuff like that. So let me tell you, the statistics tells us that 90% of the time, it is the immediate circle, or it is the immediate group of which the child knows, but very closely associated. Only 7% of the time it is a distant relative, and only 3% of the time it is a complete stranger. So we are worried more about the 3%, but rather we should be focusing more on the 90% of the time where it is not a stranger. So that is what the whole thing is about, bringing in the realization, talking about it. Now, the whole game is that even if we feel that I'm a very cautious parent, I take care, good for you. I'm so sure all parents are taking care and all parents are really being concerned about this. So even I as a mother had this nagging fear in my mind all the time. Not that I don't have it now, but yes, there is a certain level of confidence too about the topic. But the whole game is to empower the children to protect themselves, because we can't be with them all the time. It's not possible, practically not possible. So we really need to teach them to protect themselves, to empower them to really know what to do when they're feeling unsafe. So they are the only ones who can protect themselves, and we really need to get into the whole idea that how do we do that? How do we protect themselves? How do we get into the whole process? So there are steps which you tell parents, how do you want to talk to children about it. And the whole game of you talking to children and then they getting back into conversation with you is something very important. So with this, I would love to share a video. Do you think we can squeeze in like a 2 minute to see a video?
Sure, Ms. Islam. But before we do that, a very quick question. Is there any age group that at any age where we should start these conversations?
So age as in it really depends upon children also. But to me, by the time children reach the age where they're able to express themselves in certain forms, anyway, 2.5, 3 years, when they just start expressing themselves. See, I wouldn't say that a baby can't express itself. The baby also expresses all its need. But an expression where we try to understand what's happening to them and we can get across into a conversation, that is a perfect age to start this conversation. And the whole topic of Aao Baat Kare is complete talk to children about everything to do with their sexual literacy, but it is again age appropriate. How far the child is wanting to talk about it, how far are you wanting to talk about it, and what's the conversation between you and the child. So that's something which we can really look into.
Sure. I'm sure we'll have more questions. We'll come back to them after the video.
If we have the questions, then we can just continue with the questions if you feel this.
Go ahead.
Okay, sure.
How many words?
3 words.
4.
4, okay.
Yeah.
Hindi, English?
Hindi.
Okay.
Sugar?
Amazing. First word.
Papa.
Papa. Baby.
Baby.
Papa से छोटा. Papa से छोटा.
Raju Chacha.
चाची 400 piece. चाचा भतीजा.
Chacha Bhatija.
No. First half.
Chacha.
Chacha. Okay. First word. Chacha.
Chacha.
Okay.
Okay. Second word.
Mine.
Hindi. Papa ka?
Me. तेरा. तेरे मेरे सपने? मेरे. मेरे.
Chacha, mere. Third word, okay. T-shirt.
Jeans.
Shirt.
No.
कपड़े?
कपड़े. Right?
कपड़े.
Okay.
चाचा मेरे कपड़े?
ये ऐसी तो कोई फिल्म नहीं है.
बच्चों की खामोशी बहुत कुछ बोलती है. उन्हें ध्यान से सुनिए. कहीं कोई अपना ही उसे नुकसान तो नहीं पहुंचा रहा.
So I personally really like to share this video because it's a lot of myth breaking over there. When you start talking about your immediate circle, your family members, are girls affected, are boys affected, children not being able to come and share with you. I just like to ask this question about here is like, what's worse? Something like this happened with children, or something like this happened and you didn't come to know about it, or they could not share this. Can you imagine that emotional turmoil? And these are few examples now we get from children after talking to them. After actually doing these workshops, there are children who come back and share, and it makes the whole thing so real, so real. So this is what we really like to talk to parents. But it's not just about scaring them. It's not about scaring each one of us. Because yes, I am a mother too, and I understand that fear, understand. So the beautiful part of it is now, let's talk to children about it. Let's get into conversations. Let's take it up together as a community, as a, like I said, like a village who wants to raise children. Let's take it up as a conscious decision.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Islam, if some parent wants to get in touch with you separately, personally, would that be okay with you? Can I pass your number?
Yeah. Sure. Perfectly fine. That would be wonderful if they would want to get in touch.
Okay. And just because we are coming to the end, this has been a very serious and a very important conversation. So thank you so much for having it. Tell us more about this emotional intelligence pop-up fun workshop that you're having. We like to end with a little, on the upside.
So, the most amazing part is that, I have gone through this EQ, IQ, and there's a lot of talk these days. So I was training myself for the EQ. I said, my God, nowadays, emotional intelligence is the most sought after topic, and probably sometimes the most misused word also. How will we ever manage to get across to people? So anyways, that was a separate thing. So what I strongly feel that we've spoken a lot about emotional intelligence. There's been a lot. मतलब awareness काफी हो गई है. People, every time there is an incident, everybody starts talking, okay, talk and mental health and stuff like that. Now it's time to let's have fun with emotions. Let's enjoy that part. So this is what the UNICEF and the 6 Seconds Pop-Up Festival is all about. I've been hosting it for the past 3 years now, and I simply love the activities. So it makes the whole abstract knowledge of emotions and mental health makes it very real, and it is in accordance with the sustainable development goals, I think, which the schools are now need to get it for the activities for children and stuff like that. Because I was just talking to somebody, so she was sharing with me that they need some activities with climate change and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Everything is
So this is what happens over here. We have like these 10 minutes activities with children, and those activities would comprise some rough paper around, even newspaper, a pen, color, markers, whatever, in whatever level which you want to do it. And you do these activities. I'll help you do these activities, as in share videos and share stuff to do these activities. After that, the beauty comes in, where you get into a little conversation about it. Just I recently spoke to them just today morning. I sent across an activity to parents talking about feast of a great relationship. So what happens? It talks about, like, once you want to make a big meal, you think of all the ingredients you want to put in, and you get the finest ingredients, and then you co-purchase and do so much about it. What if today we were cooking a relationship meal, and we were using ingredients in the relationship? Would that be? And the best part is, more than the adults, the children come up with amazing stuff. When last Zoom session, I told them to make a garden, or as the mind was the garden. And you couldn't make human beings. There was just one constraint: human beings नहीं बना सकते थे. आप अपने आप को कुछ भी बनाते, flower, butterfly, whatever, and you could make your immediate relationship, grandparents, father, mother, everything. And that was the most beautiful thing. Some made the father as the mountain, and some mummy was the big tree, the support and something. So the amazing thing about this festival is the way the children express themselves. I think the emotional intelligence is taken care of over there. So it's beautiful.
how beautiful, how beautiful. So if we would like to share that with our parents, and if then they would like to take that forward, they can get in touch with the school through the school teacher. We'll get in touch with you.
Yes.
Is that fine?
That would be amazing. And the whole thing is that if we start looking at these activities as small energizers inside our classrooms,
Right.
the moment you start and the moment you build that connection, or probably if you need any help with talking about the climate to the children, because this year's the main theme is about climate change and stuff like that. So it will be great for the teachers too. It will be an amazing thing.
Wow, sounds great. So
Great.
with that, we'll share that with our parents, and we'll share your number so that if there is anything that they would like to get in touch with you, they can. Thank you so much, Mrs. Lam, for doing this for us. I'm sure it's a very, very useful session, a very less spoken about, but nevertheless important point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.